This year's Oscar nominees have officially been announced. I'm Tiffany Taylor for The Hollywood Reporter, and so I'm sitting down with THR's awards analyst, Scott Feinberg. We're gonna get into the Feinberg forecast. It's safe to say it's raining Oscar noms. So we're gonna talk about breaking down the nominees and the biggest snubs and surprises. So Scott, first let's start with Best Picture. Tell me about this category.
The only sort of surprise inclusion, I think, was Phantom Thread, which started late and was very divisive, but with the way the Academy voting works, if you have a passionate following, even if it's not huge, and you're therefore placed high on people's ballots, you can still make it in, so that was great for that movie. Somehow it did not work out well for I, Tonya, The Florida Project, Wonder Woman, movies that I think everybody at least liked, but maybe did not have enough people putting it at 1 or 2 on their ballots.
And Shape of Water has the most noms with 13 nominations, but what do you think its chances are for actually winning Best Picture?
The Shape of Water faces one really daunting stat, which is that at the SAG Awards this past weekend, it was not nominated for Best Ensemble, which is sort of seen as a problem because in the last 22 years when that category has existed, no movie that hasn't been nominated for it has managed to still win Best Picture because, and the reasoning goes that SAG offers us a window into the minds of the actors, and the actors account for the largest portion of the Academy. So if you can't get nominated for the equivalent of their top honor, that's a problem. But on the other hand, it doesn't seem like Shape of Water had a problem with the actors who are members of the Academy because it got acting noms for Sally Hawkins, Richard Jenkins, and Octavia Spencer. So right now, I think that this is going to be a big test for that stat, and also whether or not 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which is its primary competition, we think, can overcome its own problem, which is that it didn't get a Best Director nomination. The fact that Shape of Water has 13 nominations is great, but La La Land had 14 last year, and it didn't win because, apparently, based on the evidence, Moonlight was more popular across the board. And so this year, I think the beneficiaries of that voting system could be Get Out, could be Lady Bird, which both got directing, writing, and acting nominations of their own. And, you know, you can't write off Dunkirk, which was the second highest nomination getter today after Shape of Water, but that did not have an acting or a screenwriting nomination, and it's been 85 years since a movie won without that combination, so that's pretty daunting for that movie.
And looking at the performance categories, what were some of the unexpected surprise nominees that we saw?
Well, we did not see a nomination for James Franco, which I thought might still happen despite the sexual misconduct allegations that came out because they came out at the tail end of the voting period. Instead, you got Denzel Washington for a movie that really there was very little buzz about going into this. Roman J. Israel Esquire, he's in there. For the actresses, it's pretty much what we expected. For the supporting actors, the fact that you have the oldest person now ever to be nominated in any acting category, Christopher Plummer, gets in there for 9 days of work replacing Kevin Spacey in All the Money in the World. And then on the supporting actress side, the only person who sort of fell out after getting a lot of early nominations was Hong Chow from Downsizing. She's not there. Instead, we have Octavia Spencer from The Shape of Water that really indicates the strength of that movie, and Leslie Manville from Phantom Thread, which again really exceeded expectations today. And Darkest Hour, I think, also really outperformed what a lot of people thought they would do.
Now, given all of this, it's time to look at your Feinberg forecast. We're going to forecast here, or Scott is going to. And who do you think, or who do you predict will win the big 4 categories? Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Actress?
Based on the evidence that we have on the day of the nominations, I would think that The Shape of Water will probably win Best Picture and Best Director. That's Guillermo del Toro. For actor, I would be very surprised if Gary Oldman doesn't win. His primary threat, I think, is Timothée Chalamet, who became the youngest person in 78 years to get nominated in that category. He's just 22, and he would be the youngest person ever to win, but I think Oldman, with a whole career's body of work behind him, will get an edge there. And then actress is looking like Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards. She's been winning everything, but that's a hell of a category. You have Sally Hawkins, who could win on the coattails of Shape of Water for a performance in which she does sign language. You have Margot Robbie, who produced her own movie. You have Saoirse Ronan, who's the youngest person to 3 Best Actress, or to 3 Oscar nominations for acting. She's just 23. And then you have a little unknown named Meryl Streep, who has been known to, you know, pick up a few of these. So it's going to be interesting, but that's where we are right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Scott.
Thank
so much.
you.